My name is Robert Dean Steele, and this is your daily Bible class. Today we're looking at James chapter 5, verses 10, 11. Now these are great verses. Listen to what James says here. Brothers and sisters, he says, as an example of patience in the face of suffering, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. He says, if you want an example of what patience is all about, why don't you take the example of the prophets? For example, here is Jeremiah speaking over 4 decades to the people of God in his generation about the fact that they should serve the Lord, that they should be doing such and such. 40 years this went on, and there are example after example after example. He says, you think you're waiting a long time? You think you've had a tough time? Hey, check out the prophets. Check out those who have gone before. Check out the Hebrews. Check out the Hall of Faith. Check out those who believed and trusted God. Those whose maker, they were looking for a city whose maker and builder was God. Isn't that great? He goes on to say this, as you know, we count as blessed those who have persevered. You have heard of Job's patience and how the Lord finally brought about. You know what? He says, you want an example? How about old Job? Job started off with so much, but then everything was taken away. And I love that one statement where he says, Job says, though he slays me, I will trust him. Do you trust the Lord? You say, well, it's been tough. Sometimes it's tough for a long period of time. Sometimes you feel like the heavens are like brass. You don't feel that God is around. You've been talking, but he hasn't been hearing. At least as far as you're concerned, he hasn't. But remember this, Daniel 9:23 and Daniel 10:12 tells us that even before we open our mouth, the answer is already on the way. Isn't that a great thought? God's got the answer. It's on the way. Sometimes it's delayed. Sometimes God has to move circumstances and situations to make it happen, but it is going to happen. And that's what he said. And then he closes off this portion of Scripture by saying, the Lord is full of compassion and mercy. God sees your situation. God knows exactly what you're going through right now. God knows exactly how to turn the situation around. He says, you got to have a little patience. You got to have a little perseverance because the Lord is full of compassion and mercy. May I use the example of the Olympic athlete? The Olympic athlete, they start off when they're little and they train all their life. They go through all kinds of hardship. They go through all kinds of discipline. They go through some disappointments. They win, they lose, but eventually they win their prize. They go get what they need because they are disciplined. Folks, they're doing it for the accolades of the world. They're doing it for the honor of their country. They're doing it maybe for the occasional endorsement, but the reality is they are doing it because they love doing it. You know what? Do you love the Lord? Do you love what you're doing? You are doing things for eternity. You are doing it for a compassionate and loving God. A God who cares about your situation. A God who's going to be with you. He's never going to leave you. He's never going to forsake you. Remember the footprints in the sound. From time to time they would go into one footprint. And that was the time the Lord was carrying you or that individual. God's carrying you. God cares about your situation. Don't forget that today. That's what James was trying to get across to you today. And I trust that he did get it across to you. My name is Robert Dean Steele. This is your daily Bible class. You have yourself a great and godly day.